Timeline, by the way? How long?
Whatever you like. Whatever you like. Whatever, honestly, whatever you desire. So here we are. Thank you for making it today. Appreciate it. We are with Adam Hempenstall, who is from the UK, but barely ever here, is my understanding of his life. My guess, Adam, is that you're not here at the minute. Am I right?
I am in Croatia.
Oh, it never ceases to amaze me. Adam, you may or may not know, he's been around a little while with this fabulous product that he's got called Better Proposals, which is a SaaS app for speeding up the time it takes to write really nice proposals that have got a fat chance of getting opened and accepted, which is kind of the purpose of them, really. And he's joining us today not to blow that trumpet, but to tell us about the 8 crucial pieces of data, which you can read that on the screen, can't you? Which explain how to win every proposal you ever sent. I don't know exactly how this is going to go or how long it's going to go, but whatever length we get to, if there's any questions, throw them in the Q&A box. If not, we'll just keep talking and I'll interrupt when I see fit. So, Adam, tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk about today, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you a quick bit of background. So like you've kind of covered, Better Proposals is an online piece of software which helps speed up that proposal process. And in the process of doing that and having sort of over 7,000 customers now,
Wow.
we've accumulated, yeah, so, our support people aren't too happy about that. But no, what it does do is it's allowed us to sort of get some insights that we otherwise, or the average person would never really be able to figure out. And that's put us in a position where we can share some of this information, aggregated, of course. It's not sort of private information or anything like that, but we've drawn some distinctions between proposals that get signed and ones that don't. So we've kind of asked that question, queried our database across hundreds of thousands of signed proposals across sort of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of one business, and simply asked that question: does X assist in helping get the proposal signed? Does including videos? Does including live chat? Does adding lots of imagery? That kind of thing. And we've come up with a report. So this was based on 2017 data. It's very likely that we will redo this report again for 2018, next year sometime. But I wanted to just share some of the information in that report and sort of add a little bit of commentary as we go to hopefully help people sort of steer their proposal writing and design, all that kind of stuff, in the right direction, because there's some really simple things that you can do to really sort of change the game. So I'm just going to try and blitz through this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at a real life proposal that somebody's actually sent through. This isn't through our system. This is just something that we do every now and again on our YouTube show called Proposal Breakdown. And what we do is we review live, real proposals and we give feedback on them. So we're in our 3rd, 4th season now. But I'm going to do one on the fly here. I haven't really looked at it, and we're just going to do it on the fly. So I'm going to go through this report, deal with any Q&A along the way. So if you've got any questions, do just type them straight into the box, and Nathan, you can just interrupt me.
Will do.
And then we're going to go and do a proposal breakdown. So no overselling whatsoever on our title. How to win every proposal you ever send. So diving into the report. Okay, so the first thing we looked at was the implication of putting covers on your proposals. Now, this is obviously done all within Better Proposals. So if you put a cover on your proposal, you have a nice sort of big full screen image that you can kind of see here. And the implication of doing that increased the ability to get it signed by 44.7%. So
what?
So
wow.
It goes to show, it stands to reason. If the first thing that somebody sees is a big wall of text, it's not interesting. It's not interesting at all. Perhaps they're not going to give it the time and attention that they perhaps wanted. So if you give them something very visual, something very interesting, it gives them that buy-in, and they perhaps spend a little bit longer on doing it and see all of the value that you can offer. So most of the proposals that are sent through Better Proposals do have a cover on them. So it'd be really interesting to see which didn't have a cover and sort of caused this quite large increase. But the point stands. Make sure that the first thing that they're seeing is something that's really interesting, really engaging, and preferably visual, and it's got their name on it. It's probably one of the most important things.
Do you recommend kind of like screenshotting something on their existing site or something like that? Or, getting their logo in there or something which immediately shouts, this is actually made for you, as opposed to some generic picture of a lady pointing at a computer?
Really good question. I do think personalization is incredibly important. In your world, though, and in the web design world and the digital agency world, generally, obviously not always, but generally speaking, you're redesigning something or reskinning something or whatever. So in general, most of the time, what they have currently probably sucks. So using that as the shop window is possibly going to sort of, it's not going to look great, obviously. Now, if it's a big company, they've got lots of good branding and things like that and imagery and what have you, then yes, that can work really, really well. And likewise with the logo stuff. But if what they've got isn't great, then I wouldn't use that as sort of putting your best foot forward. I would go down the route of, it can even just be a simple case of just getting on Unsplash and just finding a really nice picture of a mountain. It can almost be that simple, and then just making sure that you're using their name, making sure that your brand and your logo looks great on this particular thing. So I would just focus on making sure it looks really, really cool, and make sure that you've got their name in there. So where we've got here, website design proposal template, obviously that's just a screenshot of one of our templates. But that would say something like website design proposal for John Smith, or for John Smith Furniture, or whatever it is.
Yep.
So that's the route that I would go down with it. But yeah, absolutely brilliant question there. Okay, so embedding video. Now, with better proposals, the end result of what you're actually sending your client is a web link. So it's not a PDF, it's not a document of any sort. It's literally a mini responsive website, basically, which obviously has its own benefits. One of which is the fact that you can do all of the things we've come to expect with websites these days. So putting in video and things of that nature and rich media. So does including video in your proposal make a difference? It does, but not a very big one. So 4.2% increase in conversion if you put video on your proposals. Now, I would say, looking across the data, that this is not a big enough jump to justify the effort required to put video on there.
Good point. Okay.
Now, if you look good on camera, you've got a decent camera, it's effortless to record a quick 1-minute introduction, and you can throw that up on YouTube and get it into the proposal in almost the same time it takes to record it. I would absolutely do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely do it. But if you find video nerve-wracking, it makes you nervous, you haven't done it enough to be quite solid at it, you're not a confident speaker, all of those things are just going to cause problems where you otherwise didn't have any.
Yeah.
So put simply, if you can do video quickly, efficiently, and basically do it well, then it's a massive advantage. If not, probably don't bother.
Okay.
That would be my advice with the video.
With the video, I shoot quite a lot of videos for clients of things like, I do screen grabs of problems with their websites and things like that. And when they get stuck, I create little videos. You're talking more here about a video of my face, me sort of introducing myself and saying, hi, I'm from such and such a company. That's a different thing altogether. I think you do need a fairly decent set of skills and equipment to pull that off and make it look authoritative as opposed to cheap and tacky. I would agree.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, you can obviously do, without getting sort of too detailed into the video thing, you can obviously get sort of very cheap, sort of, 20, 30 quid. You can get a light that clips on top of your laptop, and that will light your face up quite well. And as long as you've got a relatively okay background that isn't bleached out by the sun, generally that's going to look pretty smart. And that will be absolutely fine. Where sometimes, where we don't have data is on what is actually in the video, because that would require looking at it, which of course we don't do. We're looking at overall data here, not and the reason we know that there's videos in these things, by the way, is when you go into better proposals and you add stuff, you add different blocks or different elements to a page. And one of those elements is a video. So we've simply just been geeky and just said, if it's got a video on it, doesn't matter what it is, if it's got a video in it, that's like a tick in the box, and that's how that data's been arrived at. So we don't know what's in it. It's not like we've gone through and looked and gone, oh, that one's got a video and all it's about. So it's this is pure numbers here.
Yeah, but it's fascinating though, because your 44% for putting a front cover is dynamite, but this is also a great time saver. Just don't bother if you haven't really got those skills, and that
it doesn't move the needle. Not a lot of point.
Yeah, exactly. So
Cool.
you just saved about 2 hours.
Exactly. So moving on, slightly more interesting, but I think this one's got a deeper meaning behind it, I think. So one of the unique things about Better Proposals is some of the integrations we've got going. And in this case, you can put live chat on proposals. So when somebody's reading a proposal, you can have a little live chat widget that pops up that says, hey, by the way, any questions about the proposal, I'm chilling in the office, just ping us a quick message. So it's nice and lighthearted, but it lets them know that you're there if they've got any questions. Now, what's super cool about this is people nipping, we did a lot of sort of surveys and things like that when we first launched this feature. And the feedback initially was really, really, really interesting. And the overwhelming kind of gist of the feedback was, I'm winning deals I thought I was going to lose. Like my gut told me I was going to lose it. And then we had a quick conversation on the chat, and then we started winning those. I thought that was really interesting. And what that kind of shows is that oftentimes when you send a proposal, it's actually a very impersonal and very distant activity. It's an email, it's very formal, you're sending a document, you're sending a thing, and then somebody's going to review it, and then they're going to get back to you. That's kind of impersonal. It's quite an impersonal thing. So what this is doing is using, the whole sort of like modern messaging, I suppose is a way of describing it. Almost every website these days has got live chat, fun description on it. Or some sort of like live prompts and conversational messaging and things. And it's just simply bringing that into a world where that's never existed before. And the end result is the fact that you're able to ask or answer questions when otherwise maybe those questions would never have been asked in the first place. Because once they've sat down and thought about it and kicked it around internally, they maybe wouldn't ask those questions. Or maybe they felt too stupid to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just live chat, it's just a quick thing, and it keeps that relationship going. Because there's a bit of a break, when you present a proposal to somebody, there's this weird break where there's like no communication really until somebody gives an answer on it or wants another call or wants to clear something up. So this is just adding or peppering in that sort of continuing that relationship, while meanwhile your competitors are in the old boat, which is frankly got a hole in it. But they're stuck now. They are going to go 2 weeks without speaking to that person or whatever the situation is, whereas you're having those little conversations with people on this live chat platform. So it's early days, but the response looks decent. 10% increase, just over 10% increase, for essentially doing almost nothing. Like the video requires crazy effort. This will require almost no effort at all. So
do you have a scheduling facility in Better Proposals? So in other words, if I'm going to be around from 3 p.m. tomorrow, but not until then, can I make sure that proposal goes out when I'm sort of likely to be sat on my desk, or do I just have to manually click it when I am at the desk?
You can't at the moment. Yeah. It's something we've had on our to-do list for quite a long time, and it's something that we will do at some stage. Yeah.
Presumably, though, that's a decent suggestion, isn't it? In the sense that if you are a one-man team like I am, and you send a proposal and then go off somewhere for 2 days, yeah, maybe.
Well, there's almost all of the modern live chat things these days have apps on them. Anyway, I mean, we use Intercom at the proposals, but I mean, there's things like this Drift. There's hundreds. I mean, Talk to, that's free.
Yeah, you're right. They'll ping you. It's almost like email.
They'll ping you on the phone. It just comes through like a text.
Good point. Yeah.
So it's less of a concern in reality. Although it's a good point to bring it up. But just a quick little thing on scheduling proposals. It's a really great point that you brought up actually, and less the fact that when you're going to be available, and more when they're going to be available. So if you think about when you're sending a proposal through, you're sending them an email, just like any other email. yes, they want it, yes, they've asked for it. But if you send it to them like really late at night, it's going to be sitting in their inbox. And when they get to work in the morning, they've got 66 emails to delete and go through and process, and your proposal is one of them. That's not ideal. So what we have found is, if you just, we didn't sort of capture any data on this actually, because the time zone thing was too complicated to work out. But basically, if you send a proposal to somebody, try and send it sort of mid-morning, mid-afternoon. Try to not put yourself in that queue of basically just lumping yourself in with all of the other emails that need to be processed.
Yeah.
So try not to send it overnight. It's not a major thing, but just kind of give it a little bit of thought.
Yeah, good point. But 10.4%, that is nothing to sniff at, like you say, for basically for pasting a bit of JavaScript into your tight template. Exactly,
and it's super easy. It's a couple of clicks to do it, so it's incredibly easy to do. Cool. So don't send PDFs because they do not convert very well. On our little terrible graphic here, proposals are 45% more likely to close if you do not send it as a PDF. So when people have exported proposals and then they've sent them exported the proposal and then obviously sent it themselves, those get closed 45% less than if they sent it through a proposal. So there's a huge amount of data there to suggest the idea that you want to be sending this thing in a way that people can sign it. And why is that such a massive gap? Because in order to have somebody sign the proposal, and if you send it as a PDF, there's a huge amount of nonsense that person's got to go through in order to actually, get this thing signed off. Whereas what have they got to do with better proposals? Find the next steps page, which they're guided to, and type their name and press a button, and that's it. So it's nice and easy, and that's the name of the game, is make it incredibly, make it easy for them to go ahead. They might not go ahead anyway, but certainly don't make it more difficult for them than needed, So that's a good one. Just trying to avoid PDFs pretty much at all costs. So how many pages should your proposal have? So we looked at the most common number of pages that signed proposals had, and the most common number was 6, which is incredibly interesting because almost all of our templates have 8. So the starting point that people have is 8 pages, and then they are removing some. So what we know that's not, the reason I bring that up is it's not just a case of, people are starting with 8 pages and then that's the most successful. Well, of course it would be, because we've just dumped 100 plus templates into people's accounts that have got 8 pages on them. So it's different from the standard and what they were given. So that's kind of quite interesting there. And I think what's a distinction to make here is when you look at a proposal from Better Proposals, it's laid out with a navigation down the left-hand side, and then they're sort of listed out as tabs. And that's the 6 things that we're talking about here. They're more 6 sections than they are actual pages in terms of an old traditional document. So what this kind of illustrates here is what you really want to be doing is making sure that your proposal has an appropriate length or an appropriate perceived length. So if you're sending a proposal to somebody to, I don't know, something massive, it's a $200,000 redesign or rebrand of a company, there's a huge amount of effort gone into it, and you send them a 1-line quote, and they've got a budget of 200 grand. Quite obviously, not enough information, not enough detail, you're never going to get it. Conversely, if somebody's asked for a headline to be changed on their landing page, and you send them a 66-page proposal with legal terms and conditions and all the rest of it for what amounts to a $100 minimum charge change, that is equally inappropriate and stupid. So somewhere in the middle there is an appropriate length for the thing that you're being asked to do. And what you really want to do is you want to make sure that the length is just, it feels right. So it's enough information to back up what you're saying you're going to do in relation to the price, but it's not so daunting that they don't want to read it. So if somebody had like 25 tabs down the left-hand side of their proposal, that's not likely to get read because they're going to take one look at it and go, "Oh, mate, no way am I reading all that." But yeah, so you want to find that balance, and it's one of those things you just have to sort of suss out yourself. Really, there's not an awful lot that's there's no magic pill on that one.
Is there any sort of more granular stuff within that in terms of what are those 6 pages containing? What are the essential items that seem to compel people, or do you not have that data? I don't know.
Really good question. There's no set data on that,
okay.
Other than the video thing and the live chat and stuff. We do have some stuff on pricing pages in a second, which I'll get to, but there are some little bits, but we're not looking into the content of what people are saying. So most of the time in better proposals, there's, probably 90% of the time, they're typing into a text block of some description, which is a free text. You can type whatever you want in there, put your images in, do whatever. So there's no way of us necessarily looking through that information and trying to decipher what is being written about. It's maybe something we can look into doing next year, but there's nothing there that I can just sort of like tell you because we don't have that information.
Okay. So, no worries.
But yeah, it's a really, really great point. But what we do know is that the best thing to call the page that's got your price on it is investment. Now this stands to reason because words like cost, price, fees, rate, those kinds of things don't have any perceived ROI on them. You pay and you get a thing and that's it. Whereas the word investment implies you're going to get something. Even a bad investment returns some money.
Yep.
Not necessarily all of it, but so the word investment implies you're going to get something coming back. But it's just a better word to use, especially in the agency game. I mean, what can you think of in the web design world, or anybody that's working with WordPress or design or agencies or marketing or whatever, where you aren't selling something that should produce a return? Everything should, really. So the word investment is appropriate, which is probably the most important thing. And second of all, the data says it helps. So if you're not using the word investment, probably consider that. Right. This is not my favorite part of the report, but I'm a big fan of owning up to your work. So we haven't removed it. I think we got this wrong. The data is correct, but I think it's not very helpful. So this is the average price in your industry. So back several months back and prior, we used to ask people what industry they were in. So we would ask them if they were in the web game, basically video and audio, professional services, or other. We've excluded other because it's too random. But these are the average prices of one proposals. To me, these look incredibly low. So this is where I think, although the data is technically correct, I think the way that we presented this and not perhaps drilled down enough has led it to not be particularly helpful. So that the project fee of the web and digital thing, $2,000, that's insane. So if your prices are anything like this, get them up. I think it's basically the only real meaningful message we can come up with here. But yeah, I mean, this is incredibly low. So I think there's lots and lots and lots of things pulling the averages down here, and there's very few that's handling it on the top end. Now, it's also very, very possible that the bigger deals, which would otherwise pull an average back to a sort of a more reasonable level, aren't being looked at because they're not necessarily being done through better proposals. So while they might send the proposal, they might have an indication of the price. They're not necessarily using our pricing table to do it. In this case, it wouldn't be counted. So if they're not using our pricing table, we've got no idea what the numbers are because again, we don't search through the text. So this is only people that are using our pricing tables. So if you've got a big deal that is either being signed offline because it's got to go through legal or some other nonsense, or being done some other way, then this wouldn't be counted. So you haven't got those bigger deals pulling the averages back up again.
Yeah, I wonder if that's it. Because of the nature of the repeatable nature of being able to generate proposals in this app, better proposals. I wonder if they are just doing the smaller ones, if you like.
It's very possible. It is very, very possible. But I mean, this for me, as I say, I'm a fan of sort of like, owning up to your work, even if it's wrong. We put this in the report. Yes, we could remove it, but I think it stays. And next year we will do a better job of investigating the pricing and the average pricing. Because I do think there's value in trying to find that out. I think we just need to do a better job of digging into the data and trying to find something that's more useful.
I wonder if it's geographical as well.
Yeah, very possible. I mean, we did some. I think with these, what we did is we took sort of the big 3 or 4 currencies and then we just converted them to dollars. But there's lots of industries that, or lots of countries that wouldn't have had stuff in there. So it's not like we took the number and just stuck it on dollars.
Yeah,
so that might have helped. But yeah, so there's some learning to do on this side from us. But I mean, I think if there's anything to take from this, if those are your numbers and they look similar to that, get them up, because far too low. Now this is a really interesting one, because everybody can control this. I don't care if you're sending it with a pigeon. You can absolutely improve this. So this is to do with the effect of sending your proposals quickly. So there's 2 types of results here: the conversion rate and the time to sign. Now, what we looked at is what the effect of sending this in 24 hours, in 1 to 2 days, 2 to 3 days, or 3 to 4 days.
Oh my goodness, that says a lot, doesn't it?
It does. So if you send your proposal in the first 24 hours of creating it, bearing in mind we don't know what's happened prior to that, you're 25.9% more likely to get it signed than compared to leaving it 3 to 4 days.
Wow. Okay, that's, yeah.
How easily fixable is that?
Yep.
So easy to fix.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and then the time to sign as well. Obviously, if they sign eventually, then great. But isn't it better to get that money 4.5 days earlier? I would have said so.
Here's a quirky question. Is there any turn that on its head? Is there because your software makes it so easy to do, and you could, in all honesty, walk back from your meeting, have that proposal ready in under an hour.
Easy.
Is it clever to send it super quick, or
No.
is there a good, wait a day? At least wait a day.
I wouldn't wait a day. I would just stitch yourself up and tell them that you do proposals on the day of the meeting.
Great.
And just build it into your process.
Yeah.
So I would just tell them that up front. I would say, we have our meeting, and I always do my proposals there and then, so they're all fresh, and you can make a decision while all the information from my meeting is fresh.
Yeah.
In your mind.
Yeah.
This idea of leaving it 3 to 4 days, you look busy or whatever. I mean, we're not dating. You don't need to play hard to get here. You're trying to get some money in your bank account.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know where this idea came from. I mean, it's not effective, that's for sure. I mean,
that speaks a volume, though, doesn't it? Look at that. Okay, I'm going to try harder. 3 to 4 days.
Well, look, I think a lot of this just comes down to a system.
Yes.
Have a system. Know what you're editing. Don't sell odd things. If you do web design redesign really, really well, and you take old stuff and make it better, and that's your thing, then get yourself a template that is that. So if you find that 75% of your business is taking a website that's crap and remaking it and making it better, then you should have a template that is geared up for that exact scenario.
Yeah.
So then all you're changing is, a couple of bits. Look at your case studies that would be in that proposal template. There would be 2 stories or 2 examples of somebody that came to you with a badly performing website. You threw your magic wand at it, and now all of a sudden it's doing amazing numbers. And you'd find 2 of those stories, which shouldn't be very difficult for you to find, and that would make up your proposal template. You would not need to change those. That's just standard stuff that would be in every single one you send, because they're super relevant. And it's just about getting those systems down. If you're the kind of person that takes, I'm talking to everyone, but if you're the kind of person that takes the last proposal you sent and uses that as your template, change immediately.
Mm.
Change immediately. The last one you sent was the right one for that client. So try and imagine this. You've got this crazy game, like you've all played Chinese Whispers, right? You're not allowed to say that anymore, are you? What do they call it now?
I don't know, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we called it in school. I remember years ago, my mum's a teacher. She came home and said, "Oh, you can't say that anymore."
Oh.
Thanks, Mum. But yeah, whatever that game is now called, where you start off telling somebody and then that person tells the next person what they thought they heard, and then you go around 10 people and then the last person repeats the original phrase, and it's nothing like what it started out as. It's always quite funny. And that's what you can find with your proposals. You have this crazy game of Chinese Whispers going on with your proposal template where you keep amending the last proposal you sent, but you're not thinking about it from the perspective of, no, we need to start from the same point every time. So we address the introduction, we choose appropriate case studies, we check the specification and the what we're going to do part, make sure that that's accurate, and add in their little quirky bits, and that's it. And then we move to the next steps in the pricing and make sure all of that's the same. Like the next steps, your guarantees, your terms and conditions, all of that should be the same. You shouldn't even need to think about it. Just get it set up once, and that's it. Your process should be the same. The only thing really changing is the client, what they want, the price.
Yeah.
Kind of it.
Yeah.
Kind of it. So just get that system in place, and then when it comes to writing these proposals, you don't have this, daunting, procrastination-heavy task that you just drag out for days and days and days. Whittling down your chances of winning the deal. Only to sort of get to the end of it and find that you've just lowered your chances by almost 25% by, not having a system in place. So definitely do that. If you do nothing else, just get your proposals out quicker.
Great advice. Good one. And backed by the figures, which always works.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I'd like to sort of dig in more into that. And as I say, hopefully we can do a really, really good job next year. It's possible to sort of get a data person in to sort of really, really, really analyze this and try and sort of pull out more actionable stuff. But I mean, the early signs are here. So as a quick summary then, so definitive list of what your proposals should do. Use a cover, make it visually appealing. Use a video in your proposal if it's quality and add value. If not, don't bother. I'd also add that if it's easy for you. Integrate live chat into your proposals. Send a web version and avoid PDFs at all costs. Split your proposal into 6 pages, but perhaps more to the point, keep it appropriate for the size and length of the deal. Name your pricing page investment. Increase your prices 2 to 3K, way below industry averages, and make sure you send it within 24 hours. So that's the gist of it. A lot of this autocorrects by using something like Better Proposals, cheap plug. But a lot of this stuff is built in and incredibly easy, and obviously the data is based on that. So naturally, a lot of it falls in line.
Yep.
So that's hopefully given some people some direction.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of quick questions then.
Go for it.
Are the Better Proposal pages? They're not kind of A4 sized, are they? They're like a responsive web design side. It might be quite good to. I don't know if we can see that or not, or just describe it. It's like a web page, right? It's a
mini web page, yeah. So okay, so let's look at this, right? Okay, so if you were to send somebody a proposal, this is what it would look like to them.
Looks nice.
So you've got sort of like a nice cover, a nice photo, and you've got sort of some nice sort of white flat sort of text over the top of it. It looks classy. It's a great start.
44% right there.
Hey, just going to get rid of this header bar quickly. So this is quite literally what your client would see. So
do those 6 tabs on the left equate to the pages that you talked about earlier?
That's right.
6 is the winning number. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, there's 8 here. So you got 8. Obviously, this includes things like your terms and conditions, your pricing page, your process, your timescales, your case study. I mean, I don't know what you'd eliminate from this, really. I mean, maybe your guarantee, perhaps it, and maybe you sort of merge.
Yeah, merging. Yeah.
Merge a couple of these bits, but this is it. And then basically, this is this is your proposal. So it's an interactive thing, and they just scroll through this. If you think about the effort that it looks like you've gone to create this, it says an awful lot about your company if it's the kind of effort you go through to just win work.
And the takeaway here is that this is trivial to make. You can just click on buttons and upload images, and type in the boxes where that text actually is, and it all just gets done and saved for you. It's easy.
It's seconds. Seconds. Everything's auto saved. The editor looks exactly like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly like this. Yeah. So you would just go, I want to remove that piece of text, and then that's it. It looks exactly the same.
Does anybody ever press that print icon? Do people print them off? Because I would never want to see that on a piece of paper. I just want to see it on the screen.
Yeah, rarely.
Yeah,
rarely. It's
good to know.
It's quite well. You do get notified if you do it.
You got to have it though, right? You've got to have the option, because somebody somewhere requires it on a piece of paper. You can guarantee it.
Yeah, and also, I don't know, maybe people take it on a plane. They want to read it offline, that kind of thing. I mean, there's lots of reasons why you maybe would do that, but yeah, I mean, it's about making things easy for people. So make things clear. Your pricing should be very, very clear. With PDF, sometimes I don't know, people just, it all becomes very messy. And there's an example we'll go through in a second that somebody sent through to be reviewed. We'll go through, and you can see how quickly or how messy sometimes it gets. But I don't know what this is going to do on the screen share if I make this, if I just drag this and make it smaller. Actually, I'll do the inspect thing.
Oh yeah, do it that way. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, it looks nice.
So this is the experience that somebody would have on their phone. So it's, compare this to.
Yeah, that's lovely.
It's
very clean, very modern. Yeah, it looks good. The other question, the investment page, if you want to call it that, the investment tab, which was on the left-hand side, is there an order where that would be where it converts better? So in other words, if you talk about the money first, or let's say the second page is about the investment, does that tend to do things favorably, or are we better off leaving that until fairly?
That's a really great question. I'd like to investigate that, to be honest.
Okay.
The order of the pages. We don't have any data on it, but it would be really interesting. There is two schools of thought. You've got people like Grant Cardone, who starts out with the idea, obviously very traditional sales, hammer the phones, all that kind of stuff. As anti-British as you get, really. But his thinking is, how can anybody listen to you properly when they don't know what you're talking about? And what he means is, if they don't know how much the product is, how can they make any kind of judgment on it when they don't know how much it is? So that's kind of interesting. If somebody has said to you, I just want, or you've gone in and you haven't necessarily done the budget question, and you're kind of just winging it. You've just asked them what they want, you put a price together, and the whole thing was a complete surprise. Then I think actually that method, Grant Cardone's method of telling them the price up front, is actually quite a good one, because you get it out of the way. You're going to go through this proposal with them, or they're going to go through it themselves, and they are going to be sitting there constantly thinking, okay, but how much is it? Okay, but how much is it? Because I just see the price. And it's frustrating. And you can't really pay attention because they just want to know how much it is. Then once they know, they can relax, and then they can start thinking.
Yes.
The other side of things is, I don't want to tell them how much it is in advance, because then they won't know the value. So that they'll rule it out before they've even heard how much value I can add.
Yeah.
So I want to tell them the value first, and then when I tell them the price, hopefully it seems like a good deal. But I think there's a better option. I think Grant's right. They should know the price, at least roughly. But it shouldn't be a surprise. There's no need for the price to be a surprise. They should tell you. And if they don't tell you what their budget is, because they haven't literally got one set out, then at the very least, you should be able to work with them to create a budget or tell them what's realistic. So don't be afraid. If somebody says, okay, so say I say like, okay, I'm looking for some new copy for my website, which is the exact example that happened recently. And somebody says, okay, yeah, cool. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? We go through the whole thing, and then they present their price. This happened, and the price was like $600 or something stupid. I was like, okay, that's way below what I wanted to spend, because I want a professional and I want somebody that's going to do a great job and take the research seriously and do this. Like, there's no way that's a seasoned professional. The other two people that I spoke to, the sort of the final two I was deciding between, the first thing we spoke about was the budget. First thing. And I said, I don't want to spend more than 10, but I don't think it should 10 grand. But I don't think it should really, I don't really want to be spending much more than, I think 5 to 6 is about right for the amount of value that we'll get out of it. Like, even if it's like completely knocks it out of the park, that's about roughly what I'd want to spend. Both of them like, that's cool, that's about right. Actually, one of them said, I think that's a little on the low side. If you can go to sort of 6, 7, that's around my thing, which was fine. But it completely handled that right off the bat.
Yeah.
And the person that quoted it super low, I knew they weren't right. I knew they weren't right just from the price.
Yes.
It sounds like super judgmental, but that's how people buy things. So you have to work out, you have to learn to get good at getting that figure out of somebody, work out what it's worth for them. And if they literally have no idea what it's worth for them, they're never going to pay a lot for it, are they?
No, good point. Yep.
So what have you lost by having it go nowhere? Probably a low value client isn't going to spend, doesn't know the value of their own stuff. I mean, most people that have got an operating business know their rough conversion rate if they get a half decent lead. Even if it's average, like, we convert 2 out of 5, roughly. That's like what you kind of get as an answer. How many leads do you get a day? You can look that up, and then you know that rough conversion rate. So straight away, an even half operating business could tell you those two pieces of information, and you can work out roughly the value that they can get out of your improvement.
Yeah.
But somebody and then from there you can work out an appropriate budget with them, even if they haven't done it themselves. So that's a skill. If that's not something that you do at the moment, then it's something you should get good at.
Yeah.
I don't mean you, I know you do this stuff anyway, but your audience more. Like, if that's not something that you do in your meetings and it isn't something you work towards, try to get good at that, because it really, really helps increase the quality of the client massively.
Agreed.
But yeah.
I fall down on the side of I like to put the money at the end or near the end. I like to sell what I'm on about and discuss that.
Yeah.
But I do a fairly lengthy discovery process as well, so I'm hopefully regurgitating back at them what they've already told me they want. So, yeah. Okay. Shall we crack on with your next stage?
What we're going to do here is we're going to go through a real life proposal that somebody has sent through, and we're going to break it down. So we're going to try and do this sort of quite quickly. So first of all, this is their cover. This is them. Their client's name was where the X's are. I've taken that out. So relatively impressive. I wouldn't say it's necessarily on brand. I don't know what this sort of like icon thing in here is. It appears a lot, but doesn't appear to be closely matched to their brand. But it's okay. It's consistent at least. So what that says to me is this could be some sort of off-the-shelf template where that's actually like part of the design or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, so let's sort of go through it. So this is their cover, and the first thing they're talking about is the understanding of the brief. So this is, I guess, I think what these guys do, and you've noticed the first problem, I think what these guys do is help them get more app downloads. So some sort of digital marketing strategy for helping them get more app downloads. So what they're going into here is hardcore data, which is, they've skipped over the most important thing. which is telling the person who's reading this, who requested it, why they want it. Why is it important that we get more app downloads? Telling them random facts is, at this stage, not super important. Let's see if they address that in the next page. Okay, so the brief objective is make whatever more popular in other countries. So they have kind of done this. It's just not very strong. So they've got the campaign objective in here, which is okay. And they have numbered it out, which is decent. But I think that these two things need to swap over, and this needs to be clearer.
Yep.
This needs to be clearer. So you straight away, the first thing that they see, other than sort of like the cover and the branding, is this is what we're trying to do. Yeah, we want to make you the number one, whatever category app in Indonesia or whatever, right? And then they've got down here, I guess, how they're going to do that. So they've got the components here. The presentation just isn't right. So it's.
I was just going to say, what's interesting to me straight away is the confine of the A4 page. It's just bugging me that it's just that I've got to be limited by what the page says, how big the page is.
Yeah, exactly. And if this was opened on a phone, you'd really struggle.
Yeah.
You'd really struggle because it is that size.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a lot of pinching and zooming and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so yeah, it's going to struggle. It's going to struggle there. So then they've got their sort of digital strategy. Now, straight away, this is kind of interesting. I don't really. This is the target persona that they're trying to attract. I assume this is just some stock photo. But it's like it's gone way too deep really quickly.
Yeah.
It's just gone from like 0 to 100 in like 0 time at all. And they've just gone completely hardcore in this. Like, surely this is happening afterwards. Like, is this not part of what they're discovering? I mean, maybe it isn't. Maybe they already know this, and this is actually quite good. I don't know, but this strikes me as a little bit odd. In that, like, it's gone straight in. Instead of talking about necessarily the work they're going to do, they're talking about the target audience, which I don't think is a bad thing. I just don't know where they've got it from. But that's, perhaps because I'm flying a little bit blind here. So I'm prepared to sort of give them a pass on that one a little bit, but it definitely was for entrepreneur friendly. Okay, now I don't fully know if this is their process. If it is, it's not clear.
No, right. It's just a random picture with a message at the bottom.
Then we've got number 2. Identify the real tangible current communication asset. Okay. State the great features and benefits and set the umbrella campaign. I think that's their process that they're going to go through. But I think they just discovered Unsplash and wanted to just put pictures on the.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
But this is not overly clear. If you're going to have a process like this, at least have like the name of the thing and then a very, very quick sort of, even if it's just like a sentence, just to kind of round it off and say what that is that you're going to do. Describing your process really just puts people at ease. It just puts people at ease. It takes the mystery out of something that you're going to charge them a lot of money for. In most cultures, we hate the concept of getting ripped off. There's somebody charging us a lot of money for 10 seconds work or whatever. So if you can, it's not about like justifying how long it's going to take you and how hard it is and how long you have to go to college and university for to know this information. It's just about giving a little bit of context about each stage that you're going to go through. So it shows that you have a process which is organized and something we most of us respect and want, and you're not just some sort of random creative that's just going to keep making stuff until it sticks. You've got a process and you're going to work through that process. But to give just a tiny bit of information about that process and each stage, it just kind of eases the mind a little bit. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. They know what they're doing. Sweet. Little tick in the box. So that's something they kind of missed a little bit here, but it's in there. The order of this is fairly solid so far. It's not terrible. I think we need an awful lot more context in what they're actually trying to do here before we can make much sense of this, because this isn't designed for us. This is designed for somebody that's planned this out. So this is not likely to make a huge amount of sense. But this isn't terrible. This isn't terrible. They've identified their stages of this umbrella campaign, which they mentioned earlier. So there's familiarity here, which is good. And they've explained the different stages of what's going on here. Now, I work in digital stuff in general. I own a software company, and okay, fine, we don't do app downloads and stuff like that. But I have got almost no clue what hardly any of this is. Most of it is just acronyms.
It is. There's a lot of jargon in there. You're right. Yeah.
No, PR buzz. Okay, you can get there, can't you? Like set KPI, adjusting FTP. I don't know what that is. Testing the concept and narrative. Okay, fine, that's in English. Research through FGD. Don't know what any of this is. So this is a good little lesson here. If you use a lot of acronyms, don't do the which means that trick, which I think I mentioned last time we were on the podcast. But it's where you write the technical thing out, or say the technical thing, and then you write the words which means that, and then you create a question. Now just answer that question. And once you've answered it, you can, if you want to, get rid of the first part.
Got it.
Yeah. So your website will be SEO friendly, or will be built with SEO in mind. Okay, but if you don't know what SEO is, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Which means that when your customers search for the thing you sell in Google, you will be there.
Yep.
Put very simply, if you have that in your mind at least, you will spend less time writing in jargon and more time writing in English.
I don't know anybody who likes jargon.
Even techie people don't like it.
Really. Nobody likes to see jargon. They just get annoyed by it.
It's complicated. Like, I can't remember where I said this, but I'm sticking with it because it came out well. But confused people don't buy stuff.
Yeah.
Confused people do not get their credit card out and pay for things. They just don't. No. So if your proposal has a load of stuff in it that's going to confuse people, that's probably not great. You should sort of work on that and try and help them, be understood. And if that means asking them and trying to find out in the discovery phase where their level of understanding is, and then tailor their proposal accordingly, then cool. But even if they do understand loads of techie stuff, it doesn't mean fill it up with jargon, because it's just not comfortable to read. It's much easier to read in plain English what is going to happen and what you're going to do and what the value is, whatever. Cool. So then we've got traffic sources. Cool. So this is all fairly good stuff. The only thing I would say with this, and this is, perhaps a larger debate, is it looks to me like they're giving away some of their secret sauce here. This looks like a campaign plan. So I would question why they are giving away some of the information that they really is valuable and they should be charging for. So if you're kind of giving away this kind of information, and this especially goes to you SEO folks, I mean, doing large amounts of keyword research, the odd little bit, okay, fine, but doing large amounts of keyword research and this kind of stuff, this is actually what you're selling them. The nuts and bolts of it is not the difficult part. It really isn't. What you're selling somebody is often the strategy. And, like WordPress, I mean, we can all go and find a cheap WordPress designer. It's not difficult. It's the strategy, it's the business value and strategy that goes behind it that is what you're selling. And that's how you command the higher price. To give stuff like this away in the proposal is madness. You're giving away the thing that you can actually charge for. So I would encourage people not to do that.
Good point. Yeah, don't give away the crown jewels.
Because all you're left with at this point is implementation.
Yeah.
And implementation with a plan laid out is not hard. Of course, it's difficult, right? There is a science and an art to this stuff. But if you've got the plan, you've got the roadmap, not that difficult. Like you can get there.
Mm.
If you give that away up front, there's less you can charge for one, and second of all, you're giving away the hard bit and letting them do the easy stuff. Cool. Digital strategy solutions. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you know that bit when I said like SEO people don't give away. Oh look, they've hidden something. There's a big grey block here, right? They listen. They blocked something off. Guys, girls, don't put this stuff in your proposals.
Yeah.
This is, this is not
nonsense.
It's confusing. It's confusing. This doesn't make sense to somebody that doesn't understand it. If you live in these, placements, bid types, unit costs, cost per clicks, all that kind of stuff, reach, whatever. If you live in that world, this stuff is great. It tells you an awful lot. It tells you a story and gives you a battle plan. But if this isn't the world you live in, this is just complete confusion on a page. So if this is the kind of stuff you've got in your proposals, again, I'm sort of, your marketing folks, people doing pay-per-click work, SEO stuff, you guys, do not put this stuff in your proposals.
Yes, I think we can all agree that one is an absolute home run.
Yeah. Okay, example of Facebook and Instagram ads. I don't know. Is this necessary?
Tell you what I'm getting out of this is they use far less words than I use. That is to say sentences, actual English sentences where, I don't know, maybe I talk too much, but I use a lot less bullet points and a lot more English, if you know what I mean. Sentences.
And this is another great point as well, is that they're trying to do almost all the talking with visual.
Yeah.
And I don't know that's helping. Like this page could be removed completely, and I don't think it would make a blind bit of difference whether it's in there or not.
Yeah.
It's just a page for no real reason. I'm not sure what it's for at all.
Maybe their service will do your ads for you.
It could be examples.
But again, it doesn't say that. It does not say that. It just says, look, Facebook and Instagram ads. Yes, I know. I've seen them.
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Let's pretend they're examples. Let's pretend they're examples of ads that have been created. There's videos, there's some nice design here, there's some great photography. Maybe they've been responsible for all of it, the photos and all, right? Where is it that it tells me that that's what happened and that's the result of those ads? That's
what I'm saying. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
It's like, if you want to look at it from a design point of view, it's great including your portfolio, but your portfolio means nothing. It just means you can make stuff. But what did that portfolio do? Tell me the results. Like, I don't care about Jenny the baker, really, about your client. What I care is what you did for Jenny. So like, that's why case studies are really important. Like, we don't really care about the other person. It's like, oh yeah, great, well done, you did well. Right? But what we don't get is the results that that person got. And I want to know that I'm in the same boat. Tell me, like, okay, so there's this lady, Jenny. Jenny had the exact same situation that you're in. You've reached a plateau, you've done really well, you've got to a certain point, and you've hit a plateau. She hit that plateau too. And then what happened was we sat down, we went through this, and then we got involved.
Yes.
And here's what we hope we can do for you too. Here's what happened with Jenny. We think we can achieve the same thing.
I like that more.
See what I mean? It's guiding them through that story a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's what is kind of missing from these like portfolio bits. But okay, so key opinion leaders. So moving on to this next part, again, this is the same kind of thing. I think these are clients of theirs. I think they're influencers of some description or clients. Doesn't explain that.
Again, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's the struggle I'm having here. I don't understand the context of any pages. That's yeah.
So there's none of that. I mean, cool jacket, man. Yeah, so I'm not really sure there. I think this is another example of an ad type
of what we can do for you. Yeah. But in the case of a case study, in the sense of a case study, it would make more sense. I agree.
It would exactly, and I think If this isn't work that they've done, and it's just an example of what an Instagram ad looks like, what a native ad looks like, I'm not sure that's necessary.
No.
I'm really not. I think if you're talking to somebody that doesn't know what these ads look like, then I think you need to be selling to them on a way more conceptual level anyway.
Mm.
You know, you're not selling them like the technical. And this is where this proposal gets really bad. Phase 2, fine, got some ideas in there. This is actually really good. I've preempted my statement. This is actually quite good. It's given them some context. It's got 6 months worth of ideas and plans in there, which is really cool. Estimated campaign result. Okay, cool. Great. I want to buy it now.
Where's the button? What do I do next?
There's not even any English telling me what to do.
No.
Like, even if they have one page that says, thanks for reading, reply to my email and tell me that you want to go ahead, and I'll get.
That's a no-brainer.
There's nothing.
No.
There's absolutely nothing. And I see so many, when we do proposal breakdown, we've just shot another season, which is coming out in a couple of weeks. But when we do this, the amount of times I'm just like, oh God, I just keep saying, like, you've got to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
It's not insulting to tell them how to buy your thing. Everyone does it differently. It's not insulting to tell them. You're not insulting their intelligence by telling them to type their name in the box below and press the green button. That's not insulting. That's just making life easy for them.
What would you give that whole proposal out of 10?
Good question. I think they've got some of the basics are definitely there. Presented, not great. So from that side of things, I would probably give them about 7, 6.5, 7. But it drags it down massively because they've got massive, like, vital things missing.
Yeah.
They've got vital things missing. I mean, I'd struggle giving that anything more than a 4.
Yeah.
Format doesn't help. It's sort of odd. It's not even in. I guess that's landscape. I'm sort of tilting my head. If I had my webcam on now, I'd look like a right idiot. But I think this is A4, like sideways, I guess. But yeah, the format isn't great. If you shrunk this down and looked at it from a mobile perspective, it would not look good at all.
I don't. Yeah, that's it.
Well,
yay!
I mean, if you imagine that, good luck reading that.
Yeah.
Good luck reading that. You got absolutely no chance. So there's a lot to be said here, but I think just thinking, just try and put yourself in the mind of the person that's reading this, and realize it's a person. They've got their thoughts, their thing going on, their business, their fears. They're trying to make a decision, probably quite a big one, and they want to make the right decision. What can you do to help them make that right decision?
Good point. Yeah, good point. Hey, Adam, I think that's probably a good place to knock it on the head, largely because if I don't knock it on the head, my son is going to be standing in a playground crying.
The sacrifice, eh?
Yeah, my son can sacrifice a few tears for the sake of some good proposals. I need to go and get him, is what I'm saying. So I'm going to have to call time on this one.
Perfect. Well, you reached the end anyway, so that's fair.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, really top advice, very useful. Seeing what your software does and also ripping a proposal apart live is very useful. Really useful. Very good. Adam, where can we find you? Where are you in the world on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that jazz?
Socials are relatively boring, but we pretty much do everything and deliver everything through our website and things like that. We've got a Facebook group. It's not particularly. We post our new features in there, and we post our content in there every week. So if it's the kind of thing that you want to dabble in and learn a little bit more about, that's probably a good place to start. So you can just go to Facebook and just search Better Proposals and then join the group. You can go and sign up for a trial of Better Proposals. There's a 14-day free trial there, which you can experience the software, see if you like some of the templates that are in there, and see if it's the kind of thing you think will help you sort of speed up your proposals and get them sent out quicker and things like that. So I would just go to betterproposals.io, and I'm sure you've got a link somewhere, Nathan, you can chuck in there.
I will do exactly that. Yeah.
If anybody buys eventually, then they've bought you an e-beer.
Oh, lovely! I like the e-beers. Yeah. I'll take any amount of e-beer.
But no, that's absolutely great. It's there's a lot there, and we're always sharing sort of good information and stuff. So get yourself on the radar, and I'm sure you'll take up some more proposal tips.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Much obliged, and we'll see you another time. I'm going to click stop on the recording here, which